No matter how bad the relationship was, there's always good moments. So if you're trying to break free, you can't just let your brain focus on the good moments. You have to remind yourself why this doesn't work. But if you keep focusing on the good, you start to make yourself think, oh, because I missed this good moment, I must miss them.
Hi guys, welcome back. So I'm back here. Kate Johnson is my name, aka Kate of Many Colors, and I'm here with another video on the marriage series. So I'm just going to talk about how to get over a breakup. After I posted about my engagement, I got quite some messages about, okay, this is a situation I'm currently in. How did you handle it? How did you get over it? Of course, it's not the most requested, but it's actually one of the most requested. About the how we met, I'm going to get to it, okay? So just give me some time because I would like to do that with my husband, and we're currently not in the same geographical location. So back to the video for today. So I've been in a couple of relationships, about 2 or 3 relationships before now. And yeah, the first 2 relationships, it also did not work out, obviously. And I now got into another relationship that eventually led to engagement. And that is the relationship I made reference to in the last video that I made. I'm going to try to keep it as real as possible, but I also want to be like respectful to the other party, right? So yeah, how did I get into this relationship? I was probably in my, can't remember, I think second year or third year in school, when I met this person, and we got talking. We were friends for like about a year plus, and on the long run, eventually led to a relationship. I honestly believed then that I had God about this relationship, about him being my husband and all that. And he too, as I then said, he heard God about me being his wife. Things were kind of going on pretty smoothly, but I felt like something was missing. There was always that void. Even though I was so committed in this relationship, I was so neck deep into this relationship, I just knew that I was not in the right place. One of the times I realized I was in a wrong relationship was when I started one of my family friends, and like music started playing and we danced. I know how I felt, and I know that I never felt that way with that guy. Like it was just never there. The connection was not really there. I loved him all, right? But I just felt like something was missing. One of the signs is that whenever we stayed together, it was kind of long distance. So whenever we came together, you know how maybe you spend time with the person you love, and after speaking with the person or staying with the person, you feel so refreshed, you feel so loved upon, you feel so good, you know? I never really felt like that. I always felt frustrated. I always felt like, oh my goodness, I feel like you can't hear me. I feel like you can't see me. I feel like I'm not getting enough of you. And sometimes it ended up with me crying. Actually, most times, like I'll always cry, like maybe I'll always cry home or cry, it was just like that. So I just knew that something was off. So another pointer to the fact is that some important persons in my life who over time I've come to trust their decision, to trust their judgment, to trust what they say, weren't exactly in support of their relationship. They just told me, okay, go ahead. If that is what you believe, then go ahead. So this relationship went on for about 4 years plus. I think almost 5 years. I can't remember. We planned our lives together, built together. At some point he left the country. So before he left the country, actually like proposed. I was like, okay, let's make this thing official, blah blah blah. I kind of knew that we were going to break up. The only thing is that I was in love with this person. My heart didn't want it, but my spirit, my brain, my senses knew that it was a better thing for me to do. I shouldn't marry that person. And one day I remember watching Lauren Sawyer and Darasimi or yours video how they met, and I just prayed. I was like, God, if this relationship is not for me, take it off. Few weeks later, party began to scatter, and that was how from this one you did this one, you said this one. Since that happened like 3-4 years before then, he started bringing up, oh, you said this one. And that was how relationships scattered. And this breakup happened in 2022. Of course, it started brewing from 2021 when he started giving me the silent treatment. I would call, he'll be like, yes, no, good morning, money. This kind of one word answers. I just got to that point where I was like, what's really going on? And, by 2022, things had escalated. And by then I was in law school. God damn it. I was broken throughout 2022. I remember those days in law school, I would literally start panicking. I was having panic attacks. So, God bless one of my friends, Ugo. She's late now. God bless her. God, like, I really miss her, to be honest. Ugochi really stood by me that period. And I remember those days, sometimes I'll go to her room, stay on her bed, I will cry, I will wail, I'll do everything. So in law school, for most part of the first semester of my law school, I was busy taking calls. At some point, my roommates were like, girl, what's going on? You're always on calls, like shouting and crying and everything for months. He knew it was over, but he just didn't want to tell me. I remember one day his friend spoke with me. I was like, okay, I'll call you back. And by the time he dropped the call, a few hours later, he reached out to me and told me, let's tell ourselves the truth. This thing is not working. Move on with your life, blah, 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 blah. I was trying to be strong. I couldn't. I was just in my room. I screamed. I was like, yeah, not like I said the word. Well, I screamed and my siblings ran into the room. My mom was not in the country at the time, so I was just at home with my siblings. So my siblings comforted me. They stayed with me in the room. They didn't allow me to stay alone. I was like weak, numb, breathless. Like that period, Ooh, I was so weak, and that period made me actually wish there was something like a temporary death where you can somebody kind of dies a little bit, to run away from the pain, then comes back to life. So I remember one time I was just in my hostel, like in law school. I was just hearing a voice that said, "Jump, jump, jump." That was when I was like, "Yeah, who is jump?" That was when I knew I love myself. So I couldn't breathe. I was so numb. I remember that time I was so weak. I couldn't even walk. One thing that kept me strong that period, that kept me going, is worship. That was when I discovered the instrument of worship. I remember those days I'll play Pastor Victor Renze's worship sessions, like 2 hours. That was the only thing that could help me be, because if I stay alone like that, I'll feel like I'm dying. Of course, I knew that I should move on, but I just couldn't. Like, my heart was stuck. I was like, oh my goodness, how will I start again? How will I start afresh? Can I ever love another person? Blah blah blah. All this kind of stuff. It was really hard. And yeah, it went on and on. So, but the thing is that from time to time, people would always come. Oh, hi, have you spoken with him? Like some of our mutual friends, have you spoken with him? Okay, what if he comes back? Will you accept him if he comes back? Like, it was just what if, what if, what if, what if. So it will look like I've taken some steps towards healing, and somebody will drag me back to that. What if he comes back? So there will be kind of that renewed hope. And I remember he came into Nigeria. He had traveled the previous day, then the next day he came into Nigeria, and I heard from people that he came back. I really felt bad, but I was like, okay, like, even if we broke up, at least for friendship's sake, old time's sake, at least a hello, hi, what's up wouldn't have been bad. So I remember one day I was really down. So my principal, like, he's like my legal mentor. He's like a father to me also, because I had told him about the breakup and everything. So he told me, I'll tell you something. I know it's going to be hard for you, but you're going to have to swallow your pride. Call him and ask him that you guys meet up. He told me one of two things will happen. It's either you guys come back together, or you get like you become very convinced that this relationship is over and move on with your life. And that was exactly what I did. I called him, and he told me, oh, that he's busy, blah blah blah. Then last he told me to come to his house, because I'd gotten familiar with his family, to his family house. I remember that day. So I knew that I shouldn't go back to that relationship, but I wanted to go back to the relationship. I cried. I begged him. I was like, let's try again. Let's give me another chance. Oh, the things you complained about, I'm going to work on it. Even at some point, at that time, I wasn't telling myself, don't even worry about the things you complained about. Just learn to deal with it. Suck it up. That was where I was mentally at the time, because my heart was in pain. And he told me, no. And that's one of the best no's someone has ever told me in my life. I was like, no, move on with your life. Let me move on with mine. So I forgot to add this while I was shooting this video. One of the things that he also said to me that made me actually sit up was when he said, it's not hard for me to say yes to you, but I don't want to marry out of pity. I was like, Amy, K. Johnson did it. After that day, on my way home, I cried, because we're in different towns. I cried all the way home, and I remember that day I came back and knelt down and told God, God, this is the last day I want to cry about this relationship. This is the last day I want to cry about this guy. And that was the last day I ever cried about that relationship. I'm going to share some things that helped me get over this heartbreak, and also could help you get over the heartbreak. The first thing is that you have to come to terms with the fact that this relationship is over and it's time to move on. Until you come to that place, you will never move on. I remember one of the times in church, I knelt down, I prayed so much. I told God, this is what I want. And I know that anytime I get to that place of brokenness and pray, God always answers me. When God did not answer me by restoring that relationship, I knew that it was time to move on. When it's don't suppress the emotions. Like, initially I was doing like galadima, because before then I was used to like, oh, if you move mad, I move. Like 1 week, pata pata, just move. But this one took time. Like, it was different times. Sometimes I feel like I've healed, then I'll break down, feel like I've healed. Like, it was just like, it was not linear. It was just like, up and down, up and down. So sometimes some people were like, I thought you were fine. I remember someone was like, what's going on? Move on, fashion this guy. And this was someone that had planned my life with. So please don't suppress. You want to cry, cry, but don't do crazy stuff. Say, don't numb out your emotions. Like, feel what you want to feel. And I think that's what I was running away from, that wanted me to go back to that relationship. At some point, I had to be honest with me. It was so painful, but I had to feel it. And one of the things that helped me cushion the pain was worship. I remember one day I was listening to Minister Johnson Onyekon, and he said something. When you focus on the pain of transition, you lose his purpose. When you focus on the pain of grief, you lose his grace. That was one of the words I held on to throughout that phase of my life. So don't numb out your pain. Don't try to like not feel it, or to suppress it, or sweep it under the carpet. Feel whatever I want to feel, so that once you leave, you move and never go back. Number 3 is cut out contact. Me, that's one of the things I did. I tried to cut out contact as much as possible. I remember that period, I muted all our mutual friends, because I always used to have panic attacks anytime I see any of our mutual friends post stuff on WhatsApp. I think I deleted my Facebook. At some point, I even blocked him, because I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't live with it. I unfriended him on Facebook. Did a lot of stuff that I know will remind me, and I'll start having panic attack. I had to like lock off different things that would remind me of him and the relationship, and It was not out of a place of hate, but I needed to heal. I needed to move on. So if you can cut out communication, cut out contacts, please do. Don't try to like be matured and everything. Don't be matured at your own expense. So just do the right thing. This one is kind of related to the last point I made. Take out reminders, remove reminders. I remember that period. I had to go through my phone. I was deleting and deleting and deleting pictures. Went to my laptop. I was deleting. Remove reminders, things that remind you of this person, people that remind you of this person. Try and remove it as much as possible, okay? And that thing is fill the vacuum. For someone like me, I'm not someone that knows how to double date. So he was the only man in my life for like years. So there was that vacuum because I had gotten used to him. Oh, I need to talk to someone about this. He was the person, right? So what did I do? I had to fill that vacuum with some of that stuff. I remember calling one of my friends, was like, girl, you're a talented person, do something. And that was how I started became kind of a content creator. Like I started creating reels, editing videos, doing stuff. That time I used and think about him and cry, I channeled it to somewhere else. Okay. Then again, spiritually, I channeled it to prayer. Like I worshiped a lot, prayed a lot, and that gave me the strength to move on. So fill the vacuum. Don't allow any space because nature abhors vacuum. So as long as that time you used to give him, that attention you used to give him, that space in your heart that you used to give him is still there, you probably will not be able to move on. So fill the vacuum with something else. Like most people always say, I don't recommend that you go into another relationship, right? But if there are friendships that you can take up, then go ahead and do it. I remember a particular friendship that came into my life. He also wanted to marry me, but for genetic reasons, we realized that we're not compatible. So we just became friends. That friendship, God really used it to help me move on faster, because this person was kind of everything I wanted this person to be. You get? So it was easier to move on. We didn't date actually, but that friendship, like that, having that person to talk to, like your bestie or something, really, really, really helped. Then focus on the future. Okay. I remember one day that I walked into church and the pastor was preaching. He said, I know the thoughts I have for you, thoughts of good and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope you desire. And that's Jeremiah 29:11, I think, in Message translation. So I held on to that verse of the Bible and always used to pray with it. I began to create another future for myself without him in it. Right? So it was no longer a case of, oh, this person promised that we're going to do this together. Nah, move. Move on. All those things they promised, just tell yourself, Kalas, it's a wrap. It's no longer going to happen. I am moving on to another thing. I'm creating another future for myself. I'm doing something else. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Just move on. I was watching a video before I made this, and it says that statistics says that 71% of people that broke up from a relationship don't always regret it, right? So most times breakups lead to breakthroughs. Sometimes you might actually even go back to that person, right? But sometimes it's God taking you away to build you and make you a better person for that same person. And some other times it's actually God taking you away from somebody that is not good for you. And it doesn't mean that they are bad people, right? Like this person I'm talking about now is not a bad person, but we're not good for each other. So instead of me continuing with that relationship and eventually ending up getting divorced, being in an unhappy marriage, which I know would have happened, God took me out of that relationship. And there was now a period of singleness, which helped me grow, become better, really become better, which is now helping me now with my fiance. Do you understand? Sometimes they're like, how do you do this? Like, you're so mature, you're so wise, you're so this one. I'm like, yo, I wasn't like this before. Like, God literally trained me to become like this. Just know that all things work together for good, really. At the end of the day, see, just tell yourself that you can never have a better yesterday. I always confess that, and it is my reality. It has always been my reality, and it will always be my reality. So for all the people that are hurting, the girlies, the boys, the men, the ladies, please just know that there is light at the end of this tunnel. God will work it out. God will see you through. Don't focus on this pain. Focus on the purpose. Don't focus on this grief. Focus on the grace that will come out of it. Okay? So I'm going to end this video with this. God loves you and God is intentional about you. God is more interested about your marriage and relationship more than you are, because he knows that when a godly and happy home is built, it's for the advancement of the kingdom. I'm talking to Christians especially now, but it could apply to any other person, even if you're not a Christian. So God is more interested in your relationship. So hand over those things to him and trust him to direct your path. And I pray for everyone that is hurting, Lord, that you, the balm of Gilead, will heal each and every one of them in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. So in the next video, I'm going to share habits I had to drop and pick in order to be a better person for my partner. Okay, so that will be all for today. Please do also like, comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed, share this video if you found it helpful, and also just if you have any questions, drop it in the comment section. So that will be all for today. See you later. Toodles.